Assalamu alaikum. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the tips, tricks and arguments of those who don't believe in voting or democracy. One of the main things they use that confuses people is they use binary slogans, what are called false choices. And they load these false choices with propaganda terms, you might call it, or unspeak and Islamic sounding words that actually, upon analysis, really don't mean anything at all. And this has the impact of making people think that it's Islamic. You've heard some of these, and let me give you an example. Islam or democracy? Why are you following kuffar politics? You want kuffar politics or do you want Sharia? Brother, are you calling to kuffar? Legislation is only for Allah. Now, you've all heard this, anyone who's come across these guys have heard these slogans. But what do they actually mean? And why is it always a false choice? Let me show you how stupid that is. This is a packet of jalebis. Imagine I said to you something like, brother, are you going to have a packet of jalebis or are you going to have Sharia? Or, brother, why are you calling to the jalebis rather than calling to Islam? You see, it makes no sense because this is just sweets. If I eat the sweets, it's nothing to do or not contradictory or not in opposition to or not a choice, an alternative choice to Islam. They're not polar opposites. They're not separate. But because the way they frame it, i.e. it's either the jalebis or Islam, I'm calling to the hellfire by eating the jalebis, then someone who doesn't really get how these kind of tips and tricks, these false choices, this kind of language that they use, starts to think, well, I don't really want to be calling to the kuffar. Let me put it another way. Imagine a car and Islam. If someone said to you, right, you either go by car or you go by Islam, what would you think? Why are you calling to the kuffar by going by car, brother? Don't you want to call to Islam by establishing Khilafah? The nub of this thinking comes from their weird way of understanding democracy and voting. They understand democracy as an ideological system. They say democracy is like, I don't know, Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever other ism there is out there. We think democracy is just a way of electing people who represent us. You see the two? If you think these jalebis are akin to Hinduism or idol worshipping, then I can understand why you want to eat them. But since I think they're just some sweets, I particularly don't necessarily like them too much, my mum gets them, I don't mind then to have the odd nibble. Now, if they say every time I have the odd nibble, oh look, kuffar, kuffar, shirk, 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 it's rightfully confusing to me that why are they making such a big deal? They're only jalebis. They will then argue, yeah, but it's not actually jalebis, it's Hinduism, it's idol worship, it's shirk, it's legislating other than Allah. No, it's not to me. And that's the point. The crux here is that this understanding of democracy is theirs and theirs alone. They can't claim, and that's what they do, that I have to believe that it's a religion. I have to believe that. No, I don't believe it. And you can't prove, or they can't prove, that it is. It's just an opinion. It's their opinion, not mine. You see, democracy was a simple system that said, every time we have to change our leader, in the past it was a king, we have to have a civil war and half the country gets murdered. Look at Syria as a classic example of that. We need a system where if we disagree with the ruler, we can simply remove him without mass murder. We'll just use the ballot. Why is that so un-Islamic? Now let's have a look at their methodology, right? So they say, don't vote for MPs to apply pressure to them, because that's all voting is, yeah? To voting for MPs that apply pressure to them to make them do the right thing, not bomb the Muslim world, for example, or not ban hijab or speak up against Islamophobia. Don't vote for them, right? Because that's legislating other than Allah. And then what they do is they say, let's go on a march and pressure the public, change public opinion, right? That's allowed. But analyse that again, they haven't thought it out at all. public opinion is only powerful because it forces MPs to change legislation. So if you're changing public opinion, the reason to change public opinion is because you want the rules to change. And if you want the rules to change, it's because the public will no longer accept it. Therefore, their leaders can no longer do that. Again, what they're doing is they're using democracy through the back door. They're not using it via the voting, but they're doing it here in the UK by applying public pressure. Again, they're using democracy, but they're just too stupid to either understand that or they're too duplicitous to admit it. The second thing they do is they march, yeah, again, because they say, why are you calling to the kuffar? Why are you calling to the kuffar, brother? Yeah, why are you calling to the kuffar? You think kuffar are going to give you khilafah? And what do? They then march the kuffar's puppets, yeah, the Egyptian army, for example, yeah, embassy, and go, oh, puppets of the kuffar, you know, give us khilafah. How stupid is that? So the puppet master, it's haram to apply pressure to him directly, you know, oh, God forbid, we'll apply it to the monkey that the puppet master pays. He'll listen to us. Sisi killed 1,000 people in a single day. And here they are lobbying his government and applying pressure outside his embassy to his army, the very people who killed the Muslim Brotherhood. So if you can't apply it to the kuffar master, how can you apply it to the kuffar puppet? Surely they're one and the same system. It can be argued logically that every single other methodology of Muslim groups, yeah, apart from the non-political Muslims who are so brain dead and useless and too busy talking about how high their trousers are, or you know, how to, you know, they can wear leather socks more than 3 days, have outperformed this type of Muslim. So let's say, take for example Tunisia. By revolution they have achieved more towards the goal of establishing some form of Islamic governance, yeah, towards a justice-based system, an Islamic-based system, than HT have in 60 years. And they did it in what, a year? Now, it's not complete package, it's not 100%, but it's 100% more than what HT have delivered or any of these groups have delivered. Turkey, Erdogan, he used a democratic system, moving a highly secular, anti-Muslim state, yeah, into a middle ground, anti-Israel, pro-Muslim state that's not so ashamed of its Ottoman past. That's a massive step. It's not the full thing. It's not 100% there, as these HT guys go, oh, well, you didn't attack Israel, did we? You didn't attack Israel, you're still living in England. So the fact of the matter is that even democratically speaking, groups that took that route have achieved more than HT for Islam and moving society towards Islamic governance. Even ISIS have done in 6 months what HT and other groups like that haven't been able to achieve in 60 years. So how can it be that they're still using this bankrupt methodology and making people believe that their way works? Their way clearly does not work. They haven't established Khilafah in 60 years using their pathetic, please Egyptian government, you know, give us Khilafah, way of operating. Every group, from democratically elected to jihadi groups, have done more. ISIS have actually established a Khilafah. I don't agree with ISIS. I think ISIS are highly sectarian, and I don't believe in sectarianism. If we're going to have a Khilafah, I want a Khilafah that embraces all Muslims, not just my particular brand of Muslims and everyone else is going to get their head chopped off. Yeah, so I don't believe in that type of Khilafah. But they can't argue that a version of Khilafah, whether we agree with it or not, has been established, and it has been established in 6 months, far more than they have achieved in 60 years. In short, even their methodology under scrutiny has not worked. Now let's look at the last kind of a strategic understanding of the flawed no voting or brigades thinking. They say by voting, you are endorsing, upholding man-made law. Yeah, man-made shirk, other than Allah, un-Islam, you know, calling to the hellfire, right? A system. So by upholding that system, because you're voting, yeah, you are committing shirk. So let's look at that. Surely paying your taxes is in fact far more powerful a tool in upholding a system of the kuffar, right? You pay your taxes, it pays for the army, it pays for the whole system in the UK and Europe and the Western world, right? That they disagree with. if they really wanted to undermine, or they wanted to stop people upholding this legislation other than Allah, all they would have to do is convince people to not pay their taxes, and if they didn't pay their taxes, the system would crumble. But yet none of these people, many of them have jobs, say don't pay your taxes. They say don't vote. Now the system doesn't care if you vote. If every single Muslim in the whole of Britain or Europe did not vote, it wouldn't matter to them. You think their democracy would fall tomorrow because 3 million Muslims out of 60 million people didn't vote? They'd go, great. All the MPs then would be completely pro-Israel, and they'd have no pressure. People like Galloway would never get in. People like David Ward would never get in. People like Said Awasi would have no support whatsoever. So what you'd have is no pressure on one side, because guess what? We don't vote, and the Zionists completely trumping the political system. So they would be more than happy for you not to vote. It makes no difference to them. But if you stop paying your taxes, that makes a massive impact. So why do they not say, don't pay your taxes? Now their counter-argument is this. They say, well, we have to pay our taxes, and we're allowed to Islamically because we have no choice. That's a lie. You do have a choice. You have 2 choices. In fact, 3 choices. 1, you can leave the country. If I believed I was committing shirk, associating partners to God himself by staying here, better that I leave. They believe that. Why are they still here? They pay their taxes to uphold shirk according to their understanding. Why are they still here? 2, they can simply not have jobs. If you don't have a job, as you know, you don't pay taxes. And if you don't pay taxes, then you're not upholding shirk. But most of these people have jobs. And if they could get a job, so even the ones who don't have jobs, if they could get a job tomorrow that paid them £100,000 a year, they would get it. They would pay taxes, therefore they would uphold the system. Never have you heard this group or any of these groups say to Muslims, stop paying taxes. Why? Or, and if they feel they're going to get in trouble with the law, then fine. They can do it the legal way, which is simply this. No one have a job. Go on the dole. They've never called for it because it's hard. The third way is the hard way. Go to prison. I don't believe in killing my Muslim brothers. If you force me to join the army tomorrow, I will go to prison. That I actually believe that. Now they equally believe, just as strongly as I believe, that I will never go and kill my Muslim brother abroad, right? They equally believe, right, that voting is committing the highest form of shirk, right? It's the highest, worst crime on earth, yeah, against Islam, against God himself. So if you truly believe that, and you didn't want to quit your job, you don't want to move abroad, then go to prison. Be true to your own conscience, but you won't do it. So the only thing they won't do is voting, which the system doesn't give a damn about anyway. They don't care if you vote. The non-Muslims will continue to vote, so the system will continue. Only you Muslims won't vote, and therefore the system continues, and they don't care if you vote. So can you see what a trick it is? It's just a lie, it's a ruse. They uphold the system every single day of their lives. The second way they uphold the system is very, very simple. Not only do they pay for the system to be upheld, they obey the laws of the system. Now, by obeying the laws of the system, you are de facto saying, I accept the laws of the land. If they didn't obey the laws, they would be in prison. So you can't say, brother, if you vote, you are legislating for other than God. But when they legislate other than God, which according to them is evil, other than God, then you say, well, I accept that legislation, I'll follow those rules. So you won't change the rules, but you accept the man-made law when it's given to you. So you are upholding it by accepting it. It's not the voting that upholds it. The voting actually applies pressure to change it from good to evil, or evil to good. It's you accepting it. Now, if you really believe that it was man-made law and you disagreed with it and you want to say, I want no part of this man-made law, then you would rebel. You would say, all your laws are bunk, I do not accept your laws, every single law that you have, I refuse to believe in. I will refuse to take, to acknowledge, and I will do as I please because I only believe in God's law. In which case, they will all end up in prison, which they're not prepared to do. And if you're not prepared to do it, then don't tell us about voting is shit when you are upholding the very system, because you can't be asked to put your money where your mouth is. And again, I give them the easy option out. If you think, well, yeah, but I'd go to prison and, you know, God gives me a way out of that, right? Because God says, you know, poor you, you know, you don't believe in your principles enough to tough it out. So here's an easy route. Just accept their man-made law, right? Here's another option. Leave the country. Because you wouldn't have to accept man-made law, would you? You believe it should, not me. I don't believe it should. You believe it. You believe it. Why are you still here? Can you see? Even their conclusion that they draw is a fake, is false, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. So from their slogans, they make sincere brothers believe their rubbish arguments, all the way through to their methodology being completely useless and haven't done anything in 60 years, to the last bit where they themselves don't believe their own arguments, because when you analyse it, it all falls down. They don't believe it. They can't put their money where their mouth is. The only thing they like is their slogans. Don't vote. Go vote today, go to hell tomorrow. All these stupid arguments. The arguments that I put forward, they're never able to answer. Now, it may be that there's some, you know, cyborgs out there going, you know, getting really angry at what I'm saying. That's cool. Post your arguments. Don't just start cussing me, insulting me, right? Because you haven't got an argument, right? Post your solid arguments, whether it's Islamic evidence, whether it's, you know, a rational point that you want me to address, right? If you all want a real debate, right? I know this is just the first part. I will address it, right? You want me to say, Asghar, but what about this, right? What about this quote? What about this argument? What about, you know, this logical point that proves that democracy is haram, right? Or voting is haram, or whatever, then I will be more than happy in my next video to answer every single one of them, because I'm that confident that Impact UK can answer any of these guys, right? Any of your questions that say that voting or democracy is haram, because you ain't got a leg to stand on. And I'm not saying you brothers out there are insincere. I know many of my friends actually are members of these groups, yeah? And I know it's not just HT, I know there's other groups out there, yeah? Right, are members of these groups. They're nice guys, they really care for the Ummah, but they've been hoodwinked by this stupid methodology. And really, I know I'm being a bit insulting there, but it is a stupid methodology, because if it had any sense to it, all of these components that I've just given you would merit something. But every single one of them is just bunk, smokes and mirrors, kind of, you know, trickery, you know, a way of talking that makes you sound a bit flash, sound a bit something, but upon analysis actually don't mean nothing at all. Yeah? So I'm going to leave you with that on this point. I know there's lots of points out there that people are going, but he didn't mention that, he didn't talk about that, he you know, he got out of that. I haven't done it on purpose. I don't remember all these kind of arguments off by heart. I'm more than willing to take on all the arguments you have out there, post them on the comment box, post them on the Impact Facebook page, post them on our Twitter, and I will be sent them, and I'll log them down, and I'll answer them on behalf of Impact UK for people to hear what I have to say. Now, you know, if you think I'm wrong, you know, even after that, then again, I'm more than happy to organise a public debate, get one of your kind of top speakers, and you know, 3 or 4 guys. I don't, you know, I'm not proud. I know I'm not the most intelligent or guy in the world. Any guys who think they can take me out on a debate, and you want to get 3 guys, and we'll get Impact 3 guys. We'll have a genuine, friendly. I don't want to get, you know, rude about it, but genuine, friendly debate between Impact and any other set of guys. And you want to organise a debate and want us to turn up, then, you know, let's do it. You know, again, I don't want to just get into a slanging match. It's just stupid, right? But let's have an intelligent debate that Muslims can really choose, you know, is Impact right, or are these groups right? And let them hear both sides of the story. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thank you so much for hearing me out. I think that's about it. Assalamu alaikum.